U.S. intervention in Libya, we're joined by Ibrahim Dabbashi, the former deputy ambassador of Libya to the United Nations. He was the first Libyan ambassador to defect following Gaddafi's crackdown on pro-democracy protesters. Mr. Dabbashi called then for international military intervention in Libya. He now represents the Transitional National Council of Libya at the UN. Welcome very much to Democracy Now! Can you talk about why you stopped representing Gaddafi?
Well, when we started seeing all these atrocities on TV, and we are contacting our people on the ground there, and we realized that the regime is not willing to permit the people to demonstrate peacefully, and he started shooting on them from the first day. And I saw the son of Gaddafi going out to the TV, and he is menacing the Libyan people, and he is certainly has a message from his father to indicate that they are going to continue shooting the people, killing the people, and practically they declared the war on the Libyan people, and practically they are telling the Libyan people even whether either we rule you or we will kill you. So at that moment we took a decision. I took a decision with my colleagues at the mission at the United Nations just to break up with the regime. Weren't you the first ambassador to defect? Yes, I was the first ambassador to defect, yes. And I also called on all my colleagues in our embassies to defect. And did they? Most of them did. Certainly, many of them announced it. Others did not announce it for security reasons. You're now representing the rebels. How did you get in touch with them? Well, we are on a daily contact with them, whether in Benghazi as the main members of the council of the National Transitional Council is there, and also we have some people who are still in Doha as the president of the crisis group. Why did they trust you at the beginning? You had been representing Gaddafi through the beginning of his attack on the people. Well, anyway, I have my reputation anyway, and as a career diplomat, my post at the United Nations was not a nomination by Gaddafi, but it is only a regular diplomat nomination at the United Nations. Do you see Gaddafi and his son Saif Gaddafi as one? Certainly, their behavior is the same. Unfortunately, the whole family now, we realize that the whole family has the same behavior. Were you surprised by what happened in Libya, what Gaddafi has done after the Egyptian uprising and Mubarak being forced out of office? Well, we are not surprised because we know the nature of the regime, but in fact we didn't expect him to use the live bullets from the first day. We expect him to use tear gas, some other means rather than declaring the force on the people. Were you in favor, Mr. Dabbashi, of diplomatic negotiations before the military intervention? Well, I don't think there is a common ground with the Colonel Gaddafi to negotiate any solution with him, because I think all the ideas that he has in mind, that any negotiations has to lead to his staying in power, and I think this is not the suitable ground for negotiations. The first condition for the Libyan people now is for Gaddafi to step down, and then they can negotiate any solution. Do you think there is any chance that Gaddafi will voluntarily go? I don't think so, unless he feels the pressure, unless he feels that his life and the life of his family is threatened seriously. I don't think he will step down. Regime change was not mandated by the UN Security Council resolution for the no-fly zone, yet it has become an explicit goal of the intervention. Can you comment on this? Well, certainly it is the change of the regime. It is not among the objectives of the resolutions of the United Nations, but the main objective is the protection of the civilians. And I think Gaddafi, with his behavior now in Libya, he constitutes a threat to the lives of the Libyan people. And I think since he is the danger in himself, so at this stage, I think the international community has to declare him as a dangerous person on the civilians, and they have to take the necessary measures to get rid of him. There is no alternative.
Who are the rebels?
Well, the rebels are the Libyan people. I think it is. Let me say that they are 95% of the Libyan people. Gaddafi has only with him the security brigades and the members of the revolutionary committees.
Who are the security brigades? Who is with him? And do you see a chance they could defect?
Well, let me say that to go back a little bit earlier, Gaddafi about 20 years ago, he dismantled the national army. And instead of the national army, he constituted these security brigade, which its objective is to secure him and his family only. It is not for the security of the state. So these are constituted from young Libyan peoples, and many of them are Libyans who took the Libyan nationality a few years ago. Most of them Chadians or Malians, and constituted also from some mercenaries who have been recruited also elsewhere from Algeria, Mali, Chad, and Niger. And there are others who are simple Libyans who came from the army, transferred from the army to the brigades.
I wanted to read to you a piece that was in the Boston Globe, written by Alan Kupperman, a professor of public affairs at the University of Texas, called Limits of Humanitarian Intervention. He says, evidence is now in that President Obama grossly exaggerated the humanitarian threat to justify military action in Libya. The president claimed intervention was necessary to prevent a bloodbath in Benghazi, Libya's second-largest city and last rebel stronghold. But Human Rights Watch has released data on Misrata, the next biggest city in Libya, and scene of protracted fighting, revealing Gaddafi is not deliberately massacring civilians, but rather narrowly targeting the armed rebels who fight against his government. What do you think of that?
Well, with due respect to the professor's views, I think he doesn't have enough information about what's going on in Libya. In fact, Gaddafi is shelling in an indiscriminate way the whole cities of Libya. Now he's still shelling Misrata, also the cities in the western mountain. It is still, yesterday only 120 people has been killed in the western mountain cities, and I think 20 or 30 people in Misrata. So I think it is a large-scale killing.
Could the NATO intervention actually increase the repression and the killing while failing to resolve the underlying conflict?
No, I think the repression and the killing is reaching its highest rate, and I think Gaddafi is not sparing any force to kill the Libyan people, to enforce the Libyan people to stay under his rule. And I don't think any intervention will put more pressure on the Libyan people. Certainly, we reached a stage where the Libyan people are looking for outside help in any way.
A member of the Libyan opposition met with the French President Sarkozy last week. He suggested the military intervention may need to escalate its operations to be successful.
My message is to the international community to watch what they're seeing, and it's not something which is really possible to leave it like this. It's okay. It's a UN resolution. They have to protect they have to protect people with any means. Whether they have to go on the ground, they have to go with the different maybe weapons, different machinery, supplying weapons to the local people, to the army in Libya. It's something is going on and on. Gaddafi must leave with his family and keep Libyan free and live as a human being.
That was Suleiman Forte of the Libyan National Council. Are ground troops eventually going to be necessary?
Well, it is clear now that more action has to be taken. The most important for us, we think, that the United States has to come back and it has to start supporting the NATO as it has started at the first place. We think the United States has not only a national interest, they have a moral responsibility as the only superpower now. So I think they have to come back and they have to intensify the attacks on the Gaddafi security forces.
The U.S. runs NATO. What's the difference between what started with the U.S. and moved on to NATO? How has NATO done the attack differently?
Well, I think NATO was the commanders were U.S. at the start. For the first week, it was very effective. It has really disturbed Gaddafi and his military commanders. But in a week, things changed with the transfer of command to the NATO and the withdrawal of the attack, the U.S. force, airplane attacks. So we think they gave the chance to Gaddafi to reorganize himself and to start even attacking and trying to recapture the eastern cities. So it is very important that the U.S. come back, especially with their planes, AC-130 and A-10. They are very important for...
Why?
Because I think, according to the military experts, these two kind of airplanes can distinguish between the military and civilian targets, especially military and civilian vehicles, because Gaddafi now is using civilian vehicles in his campaign against the Libyan people, and he diminished his use of tanks. The planes which is now used by the NATO fly at a high altitude, so it is difficult to distinguish between the civilian and the military vehicles.
Do you see Gaddafi leaving?
He is leaving anyway, because I know that the will and the determination of the Libyan people, but how long he will stay in power? This is the question.
Where do you see he could go to?
If the operations of the NATO intensifies with the coming back of the U.S., I think it will take only some weeks. But if continues at the same level as it is now, I think it will take some months.
I want to thank you very much for being with us. Ibrahim Dabbashi, former Deputy Ambassador of Libya to the United Nations. He was the first Libyan ambassador to defect following Gaddafi's crackdown on pro-democracy protesters. He now represents the Transitional National Council of Libya at the UN. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report.